On June 6, 1944, United States Army Rangers scaled the cliffs of Pointe du Hoc during the D-Day invasion. To accomplish this near-impossible mission, they required highly specialized gear distinct from the standard infantry loadout. This is the complete catalog of every item a United States Army Ranger carried on that historic day. Next, we have the M1 steel helmet equipped with a standard liner and specific battalion markings. This protective headgear was constructed from a single piece of pressed steel to offer ballistic protection against shrapnel. For the D-Day assault, Rangers painted an orange diamond on the back for rapid identification in the chaos of battle. The interior liner featured an adjustable canvas suspension system for a customized and secure fit. Many Rangers also attached a chin cup to keep the helmet stabilized during the violent Amphibious landing. This helmet remained a critical piece of survival gear throughout the entirety of World War II. Moving on to the herringbone twill jacket, which was treated with C2 anti-vesicant chemicals. This lightweight utility jacket was originally designed for fatigue duties, but became standard combat wear during the invasion. The chemical treatment was applied to protect the Rangers against potential blister gas attacks by the enemy. This process left the fabric extremely stiff, highly unbreathable, and carrying a distinctively unpleasant odor. Despite the discomfort, it provided a necessary layer of protection and featured large pockets for carrying extra rations or small gear. The jacket was worn directly over the standard wool uniform for maximum utility on the beaches. Let us continue with the herringbone twill trousers, also chemically treated with the C2 anti-vesicant compound. These trousers matched the jacket and featured large cargo pockets on the thighs for carrying bulky items. The twill fabric was rugged enough to withstand crawling over rocks and through barbed wire on the French coastline. Because of the heavy chemical paste applied to the fabric, the trousers caused severe chafing when wet from the ocean surf. Rangers often had to tie the bottoms of the trousers around their boots to prevent sand and water from completely filling their legs. These trousers formed the crucial outer protective layer for the amphibious assault phase of the operation. Next on our list is the M1937 wool field shirt. This garment served as the primary base or mid-layer for the United States military during the European campaign. Constructed from olive drab mustard-colored wool, it provided vital insulation against the freezing temperatures of the English Channel. The shirt featured a button front and two chest pockets for storing personal documents or small tactical items. Even when completely soaked by the ocean water, the wool material retained its ability to keep the soldier relatively warm. It was worn underneath the treated twill uniform to provide a barrier against the harsh chemical paste. We now look at the M1937 wool field trousers. These standard issue trousers were made from the same olive drab mustard wool as the field shirt. They offered a straight leg cut and a button fly, designed for durability and basic warmth. Rangers wore these directly against the skin or over long underwear, with the twill trousers layered over them. Their shadow wool construction provided excellent protection against the cold morning air during the channel crossing. While heavy when wet, they were an essential component of the standard combat uniform layered system. Let us continue with the N1939 cushioned sole wool socks. Keeping the feet dry and protected was one of the most critical survival factors for any infantryman. These socks were manufactured from a thick wool blend designed to absorb sweat and prevent severe blistering. The cushioned sole provided vital shock absorption when running across hard concrete or jagged rocks. Rangers typically carried at least one spare pair rolled tightly in their waterproof bags to change into after securing the beach. Wet feet could quickly lead to trench foot, making these thick socks a highly valued commodity. Next, we have the Type 3 service shoes, commonly referred to as roughout boots. These ankle-high combat boots were constructed from reversed cowhide leather, placing the rough side out to absorb waterproofing compounds. The soles were made from a heavy rubber composition to provide traction on slippery surfaces and steel boat decks. Rangers heavily treated these boots with dubbing grease prior to the invasion to delay water penetration in the surf. Unlike later paratrooper boots, these shoes did not offer high ankle support, which necessitated the use of additional canvas leggings. They were the standard workhorse footwear that carried the United States forces across the beaches of Normandy. Moving on, we have the M1938 canvas dismounted leggings. These heavy canvas gaiters wrapped around the lower leg, bridging the gap between the service shoe and the trousers. They were secured using a complex system of brass hooks and a long cloth lace running up the side. The leggings were designed to keep dirt, sand and mud out of the boots, while also providing ankle support. During the Amphibious landing, they successfully prevented the soldiers' trousers from snagging on submerged obstacles. While many soldiers found them tedious to put on, they were strictly required for the Normandy invasion. Let us continue with the M1926 inflatable life preserver belt, often called the invasion belt. This crucial piece of survival equipment was worn high on the chest, just under the armpits, to keep the soldier's head above water. It featured 2 internal carbon dioxide cartridges that could be activated by squeezing the triggering mechanisms. In the event of a cartridge failure, the belt could also be manually inflated using 2 rubber oral tubes. The belt was specifically issued for amphibious operations because the sheer weight of a ranger's combat gear would otherwise pull him underwater. Many lives were saved by this simple device when landing craft sank or dropped troops in deep water. Next on the list is the M7 gas detection armband, also known as a bracelet. This was a simple but vital piece of paper coated with specialized reactive chemicals. Worn on the upper arm or shoulder, the armband was designed to change color from a yellowish tone to a pink or red hue if exposed to blister gas. The Allied command highly suspected that the enemy might use chemical weapons to repel the massive beach invasion. This visual indicator allowed soldiers to immediately know if they needed to don their gas masks. Fortunately, no chemical weapons were deployed on D-Day, but the armband remained a mandatory piece of protective equipment. We now examine the United States Army assault jacket, specifically the European theater-issued Ranger variant. Unlike the standard infantry haversack, this sleeveless canvas vest was designed to evenly distribute the weight of heavy ammunition and explosives. It featured multiple large built-in pockets, allowing Rangers to carry extra grenades, rations, and specialized demolition charges. The jacket allowed for maximum mobility, which was absolutely essential for men assigned to climb towering cliffs under fire. It was designed to be quickly discarded if the soldier became trapped underwater or if the vest caught on fire. This unique garment visually distinguished the assault troops from the regular army units landing behind them. Next we have the M1 Garand rifle, chambered in .30 caliber. This was the standard issue semi-automatic battle rifle of the United States military during World War II. It operated using a gas cylinder system and fed from an 8-round on-block clip that ejected with a distinctive ping when empty. The rifle provided a massive firepower advantage, allowing a Ranger to fire 8 aimed shots far faster than enemies with bolt-action rifles. It was highly accurate, exceptionally rugged, and capable of functioning even after being submerged in seawater. For the Rangers, this rifle was their primary tool for engaging targets at the top of the cliffs. Let us continue with the M1A1 Thompson submachine gun, chambered in .45 caliber. This iconic weapon was typically issued to non-commissioned officers, platoon leaders, and specialized assault troops. Operating on a blowback system, it fired heavy .45 caliber projectiles at roughly 700 rounds per minute. The weapon excelled in close-quarters combat, making it ideal for clearing German bunkers and trench systems along the Atlantic Wall. It utilized 20 or 30-round box magazines, abandoning the heavy and complex drum magazines used in earlier models. The Thompson provided devastating suppressive fire during the initial, chaotic moments of the beach assault. Moving on to the M1918A2 Browning automatic rifle, commonly known as the BAR. This heavy .30 caliber weapon served as the squad-level light machine gun, providing a portable base of fire. Weighing nearly 20 pounds when loaded, it fired from a 20-round box magazine and featured a foldable bipod. A single Ranger carrying this weapon could pin down enemy positions, allowing the rest of his team to advance up the cliffs. Due to its extreme weight, navigating the surf and the ropes with this weapon required immense physical strength. It was one of the most vital weapons for establishing fire superiority on the Normandy beaches. Next on our catalogue is the M1911A1 pistol, chambered in .45 caliber. This semi-automatic sidearm was a masterpiece of military engineering and served as a secondary defense weapon. It fed from a 7-round detachable magazine and possessed incredible stopping power at short ranges. Rangers often carried this pistol for emergencies, particularly when fighting inside cramped pillboxes, or if their primary rifle ran dry. The weapon featured a grip safety and a manual thumb safety for secure carrying in a combat zone. It was highly prized for its legendary reliability in the mud, sand, and grit of the battlefield. Let us continue with the M1 Bayonet, complete with its M7 scabbard. This 10-inch blade was designed to attach directly to the lug of the M1 Garand rifle. When affixed, it transformed the rifle into a devastating close combat spear for trench raiding and bunker clearing. The blade was forged from high carbon steel and featured a full fuller to reduce weight while maintaining structural strength. Rangers frequently used it as an everyday utility tool for opening ration cans, digging small holes, or cutting ropes. The fiberglass scabbard protected the blade from the elements and attached securely to the combat webbing. Next, we have the M3 trench knife, carried inside the M8 scabbard. This combat knife featured a 6 3/4-inch spear point blade with a sharpened false edge on the top. It was specifically developed for elite troops, paratroopers, and rangers who required a dedicated fighting knife rather than a heavy bayonet. The handle was constructed from stacked leather washers with a steel pommel that could be used for blunt force strikes. Rangers relied on this knife for stealth takedowns and desperate hand-to-hand combat situations within the enemy trenches. The versatile M8 scabbard allowed the knife to be mounted on a pistol belt or tied directly to the leg. Let us continue with the Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife, an item acquired by or issued to select rangers. Originally designed for British commandos, this elegant stiletto featured a highly tapered double-edged blade optimized exclusively for thrusting. Because the United States Rangers trained extensively with British forces in Scotland, many acquired these deadly blades prior to the invasion. The weapon had a distinct ribbed brass or alloy handle, intended to provide a secure grip even when covered in mud or blood. It was not a utility knife, but rather a dedicated assassination tool meant for eliminating sentries in total silence. Carrying this knife was a mark of elite status and shared brotherhood with their British counterparts. Moving on, we have the Mark II fragmentation grenades, affectionately known as the pineapple grenade. This explosive device featured a cast-iron body with heavy serrations designed to shatter into lethal shrapnel upon detonation. Rangers carried an unusually high number of these grenades in their assault jackets for tearing fortifications. The grenade utilized a time delay fuse of roughly 4 to 5 seconds after the spoon was released. It was the absolute perfect weapon for tossing into the firing slits of the concrete German bunkers at Pointe du Hoc. The fragmentation radius made it exceptionally deadly in the confined spaces of the cliff-top trenches. Next on our list are the A&M-14 incendiary grenades, also known as thermite grenades. These specialized devices were critical for the Rangers' primary mission of disabling heavy enemy artillery. Once ignited, the thermite mixture burned at temperatures exceeding 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This extreme heat could melt solid steel, allowing Rangers to permanently destroy the firing mechanisms of the massive coastal guns. The grenade did not explode, but rather burned fiercely, making it a tool of sabotage rather than anti-personnel combat. Carrying these volatile devices required extreme caution, especially when under heavy enemy fire. Let us continue with the M15 white phosphorus smoke grenades, commonly referred to as Willie Pete. This dual-purpose grenade produced an instant, incredibly dense cloud of white smoke to conceal troop movements. However, the white phosphorus particles burned intensely upon contact with oxygen and would stick to enemy targets. This made the grenade a horrific but highly effective incendiary weapon for flushing defenders out of fortified pillboxes. Rangers used these grenades to blind the enemy machine gunners while they desperately climbed the ropes up the cliffs. The tactical versatility of both screening and burning made it an essential piece of assault ordnance. Next, we have the M1A1 Bangalore torpedoes, a highly specialized demolition tool. These were long, connectable steel tubes packed solid with high explosives, specifically amatol or TNT. Rangers used them to blast massive, clear paths through the dense fields of barbed wire and beach obstacles protecting the shoreline. A team would assemble the tubes, push them beneath the wire, and detonate them from a safe distance. The resulting explosion would vaporize the wire and detonate any hidden anti-personnel mines in the immediate vicinity. Without these vital explosive devices, advancing off the deadly beaches would have been completely impossible. Moving on to the webbing, we have the M1923 cartridge belt, designed for the M1 Garand. This heavy canvas belt featured 10 individual pockets, each capable of holding an 8-round end-lock clip of 30 caliber ammunition. This gave the standard rifleman 80 rounds of ready ammunition distributed evenly around his waist. The belt was fully adjustable and featured brass eyelets along the bottom for attaching the canteen, first aid pouch, and bayonet. It was the foundational piece of load-bearing equipment for almost every United States infantryman during the war. The secure snap closures ensured that ammunition was not lost while tumbling through the ocean surf. Let us continue with the M1936 pistol belt. This thick, durable canvas belt was issued primarily to officers, medics, and soldiers, carrying secondary weapons like submachine guns or sidearms. Unlike the cartridge belt, it did not have built-in ammunition pockets, but instead featured 3 rows of metal eyelets. This allowed the soldier to fully customize his loadout by attaching magazine pouches, a canteen, a holster, and a fighting knife. It fastened with a robust metal hook and loop buckle that could be quickly released with one hand if necessary. The pistol belt provided a rigid platform that prevented heavy equipment from sagging during intense physical exertion. Next, we examine the M1937B AR magazine belt. This massive load-bearing belt was engineered exclusively for the soldier carrying the Browning automatic rifle. It consisted of 6 large, reinforced canvas pockets, each designed to hold 2 heavy 20-round magazines. This allowed the gunner to carry a substantial payload of heavy 30 caliber suppressing fire ammunition. The belt was significantly heavier and bulkier than standard webbing, requiring heavily padded suspenders to distribute the immense weight. Because of the critical importance of the automatic rifle, assistant gunners would also carry extra magazines to keep the weapon fed. Moving on to the M1936 canvas field suspenders. These were sturdy canvas straps worn over the shoulders to support the weight of the heavy equipment belts. They attached to the belt using brass metal snap hooks located at the front, sides, and rear. Without these suspenders, a fully loaded cartridge or pistol belt would relentlessly drag down the soldier's trousers during combat. The straps featured adjustable buckles to accommodate soldiers of varying heights and builds over their bulky uniforms. They formed the critical upper half of the standard United States combat harness system. Let us continue with the M1910 and M1942 canteen cup, and canvas cover. Hydration was absolutely vital, and this system provided the soldier with a 1/4 aluminum or stainless steel water bottle. Nestled neatly beneath the canteen was a metal cup with a folding handle, used for heating rations or brewing coffee. The entire assembly was housed inside an insulated canvas cover lined with felt, which helped keep the water cool when wet. The cover attached securely to the pistol or cartridge belt using 2 interlocking brass hooks. Losing this item during the chaotic beach landing would severely jeopardize a soldier's combat effectiveness. Next, we have the M1942 first aid pouch, containing the Carlisle model first aid dressing. This small canvas pouch was typically worn on the front of the cartridge belt for immediate access by either hand. Inside was a sealed brass or copper tin containing a large, sterile bandage, designed to treat severe gunshot or shrapnel wounds. Attached to the bandage were long tails of cloth, used to tie the dressing tightly and apply life-saving pressure to the wound. In addition to the bandage, the pouch often held a small paper packet of sulfur powder to prevent severe bacterial infections. This single item was the very first line of defense against bleeding out on the battlefield. Let us continue with the M3 lightweight service gas mask. Due to the lingering trauma of the First World War, every soldier invading Normandy was required to carry chemical protection. This mask featured a rubber facepiece, glass eyepieces, and an attached filter canister to scrub incoming air of toxic agents. It was designed to protect the lungs and eyes from lethal blister gases, choking agents, and tear gas. Although highly uncomfortable and restrictive to breathing, it was an absolute necessity for survival in a contaminated environment. Thankfully, the enemy never utilized chemical warfare during the invasion. and many soldiers later discarded these masks to save weight. Next, we examine the M6 waterproof gas mask carrier. This specialized rubberized canvas bag was worn strapped high across the chest or slung under the arm to keep the gas mask secure and dry. Its waterproof construction was vital for the amphibious assault, ensuring the chemical filter inside was not ruined by salt water. The bag featured a snap-button closure system that allowed the soldier to rapidly retrieve the mask in an emergency, because chemical weapons were never used. Resourceful Rangers quickly repurposed these waterproof bags to carry extra ammunition, dry socks, and grenades. The carrier became an iconic piece of the D-Day silhouette, strapped to the chest of almost every invading soldier. Moving on, we have the M1943 folding entrenching tool. Carried in its canvas cover, this innovative shovel featured a steel blade that could lock into multiple positions, functioning as both a standard spade and a heavy pick. The wooden handle provided excellent leverage for rapidly digging a protective foxhole under heavy enemy artillery fire. When fully collapsed, it fit perfectly into a canvas carrier that attached to the back of the combat belt. In desperate, close-quarters combat, the sharpened edges of the heavy steel blade made it a brutal and highly effective melee weapon. It was an indispensable tool for survival once the initial beachhead was secured. Let us continue with the M1928 haversack, an item typically omitted if the Ranger was wearing the specialized assault jacket. This was the standard issue infantry backpack, featuring a complex system of canvas straps and folds rather than a simple main compartment. It was designed to carry the soldier's meat can pouch, extra clothing, rations, and the bayonet scabbard attached to the side. The haversack was notoriously complicated to pack correctly and highly uncomfortable when fully loaded with heavy gear. Because the Rangers required extreme agility for their cliff assault, many completely discarded this item in favor of the specialized vest. However, some Rangers who did not receive the assault jacket still utilized this traditional pack on D-Day. Next, we have the Pleofilm waterproof rifle bag. This was a long, translucent plastic sleeve designed to completely encase the soldier's primary weapon during the treacherous channel crossing. The bag was securely tied at the top and bottom to prevent corrosive salt water and abrasive sand from entering the delicate action of the firearm. Because the material was relatively thin, a soldier could actually disengage the safety and fire his weapon directly through the plastic in an absolute emergency. Once the Ranger reached the relative safety of the sea wall, he would rip the bag off to fully utilize his rifle. This simple plastic sheath was vital for ensuring the weapons functioned when the soldiers finally hit the beach. Let us continue with the specialized assault gear, starting with the British-issue Commando Toggle Rope. This was a 6-foot length of thick hemp rope, featuring a wooden handle on one end and a spliced eye loop on the other. Because Rangers trained alongside British commandos, they adopted this incredibly versatile piece of climbing equipment. Multiple soldiers could rapidly link their ropes together by passing the wooden toggle through the loops to create a long, continuous climbing line. It was used for scaling short cliffs, crossing small gaps, hoisting heavy equipment, or securing prisoners. Every Ranger wore this rope wrapped around his shoulders or waist, making it a signature piece of their elite assault kit. Next, we look at the rocket-propelled grappling hooks, utilized at the platoon and company level. Scaling the sheer 100-foot cliffs of Point Du Hoc by hand while under machine gun fire was a tactical impossibility. To overcome this, the Rangers utilized heavy steel grapples attached to long ropes, which were fired from modified mortars mounted inside the landing craft. Once fired, the heavy hooks flew to the top of the cliff and bit deep into the dirt and rocks above. Rangers then had to grab the waterlogged, muddy ropes and pull themselves up hand over hand. These ingenious devices were the absolute key to the successful infiltration of the fortified German cliff position. Moving on to the M1938 wire cutters, kept within a small canvas pouch. These heavy-duty steel shears were engineered to cut through the miles of thick, reinforced barbed wire defending the coastline. The jaws possessed immense mechanical leverage, allowing a soldier to snip through heavy-gauge wire obstacles quickly and silently. The canvas pouch was generally attached to the combat belt or strapped securely to the assault jacket for immediate access. Rangers relied on these tools when explosive Bangalore torpedoes were either unavailable or when absolute stealth was required. They were an essential utility for clearing pathways through the deadly defensive networks of the Atlantic Wall. Let us continue with personal items, starting with the United States Army identification tags, universally known as dog tags. These were two small, rectangular stainless steel plates suspended around the neck on a beaded metal chain. Stamped into the metal was the soldier's name, service number, blood type, and religious preference. In the event a soldier was killed in action, one tag remained with the body, while the second tag was collected for official military records. Rangers often taped the tags together or covered them with rubber edges to prevent them from plinking and revealing their position during stealth patrols. These tags provided crucial medical information to medics and ensured the dignified identification of the fallen. Next, we have the KR rations, divided into specialized breakfast, dinner, and supper units. These were compact, highly caloric field combat rations designed entirely for paratroopers and assault forces who could not rely on mess halls. Each heavily waxed box contained canned meats or cheese, hard biscuits, instant coffee or bouillon, sugar, and small packets of cigarettes. They provided roughly 3,000 calories per day, sustaining the soldier through intense physical combat. The boxes were deeply waterproof to survive river crossings and the aggressive amphibious surf of Normandy. While universally despised by the troops for their repetitive taste, they were absolutely vital for battlefield survival. Let us continue with the D ration, universally known as the emergency chocolate bar. This was not a sweet candy, but rather a dense, heavily fortified survival block made of chocolate, oat flour, powdered milk, and vitamins. It was intentionally engineered to taste slightly better than a boiled potato to prevent soldiers from eating it as a casual snack. Designed to withstand high heat without melting, the bar was extremely hard and often had to be shaved with a knife to be consumed. It provided a massive burst of 600 emergency calories for troops completely cut off from supply lines. Rangers carried these in their pockets as an absolute last resort survival food. Next on our catalogue are the halazone water purification tablets. Clean drinking water was scarce on the battlefield, and drinking from contaminated French streams could lead to debilitating dysentery. These small chemical tablets were issued in tiny glass bottles and utilized a chlorine compound to aggressively kill harmful bacteria. A soldier would drop 1 or 2 tablets into his canteen, shake it vigorously, and wait 30 minutes before drinking. The process left the water tasting heavily of harsh chemicals, but it safely prevented massive disease outbreaks among the ranks. This tiny item was a paramount piece of preventative medicine for the invading forces. Moving on, we have the TL-122B or C model angle head flashlight. This iconic military flashlight featured a 90-degree head, allowing it to be clipped directly to the soldier's webbing while projecting light forward. The body was constructed from heavy-duty olive drab plastic and featured a robust 3-position switch for signaling. It contained a hidden compartment in the base that held spare bulbs and colored lenses for red or blue light discipline. The colored lenses allowed rangers to read maps at night without the bright white light drawing deadly enemy sniper fire. It was an indispensable tool for navigating the dark, captured concrete bunkers of Pointe du Hoc. Let us continue with the M1938 lensatic compass, or the Taylor wrist compass. Navigation was a critical skill, and officers, non-commissioned officers, and specialized troops were issued reliable magnetic compasses. The lensatic compass featured a folding sight for taking precise azimuth bearings across the chaotic battlefield. The Taylor wrist compass was strapped directly to the arm like a large watch, allowing for rapid, hands-free directional checks while holding a weapon. Both devices utilized luminous radium dials, glowing faintly in the dark to allow for covert nighttime navigation. Staying oriented was absolutely critical when fighting through the confusing hedgerows and trenches of the French countryside. Finally, we conclude with the Zippo lighter. While not strictly an official government-issue combat item, it was universally carried by nearly every American soldier during the war. This windproof lighter featured a rugged steel case and operated flawlessly even in heavy rain or aggressive winds. Rangers used it constantly to light cigarettes, heat up their canteen cups of coffee, and illuminate dark spaces in a pinch. Its iconic clicking sound and absolute reliability made it a highly cherished personal possession among the troops. The Zippo became a legendary symbol of the American infantryman throughout the entirety of World War II.